Hey friends, thank you for tuning in to Mental Health and Makeup on this lovely Wellness Wednesday. Stay tuned as I do my makeup and talk to you about this week's topic, Imposter Syndrome. So let's dive into Imposter Syndrome. Essentially, Imposter Syndrome is when you feel like you're a fraud, that you don't deserve to be where you're at, and that everyone's going to find out about it. You might be wondering why this is something that's a syndrome, because for the most part, everyone doubts or second guesses themselves, especially in the workplace. Imposter syndrome does present as a little bit more than just some self-doubt. It can really impact the way a person, especially a professional, operates. I do want to mention that imposter syndrome is not a diagnosable disorder. It's more like an experience that a person has, but it does impact their daily functioning. I personally think that imposter syndrome is a lot more prevalent now just because of how the workforce has changed, especially with younger generations. So for example, you've got a lot of people who can get on the internet and make money, or hey, make YouTube content, make social media content. People are selling digital products. They are creating courses. Just a lot of really creative, innovative ways to sell themselves to the world. And a lot of that requires that you present yourself now as though you've already made it so that you can make it, which is just fine. It's just different than when you primarily had jobs that required that you show up in person, you gain experience, you fumble along the way, and that process is available for others to see, such as your coworkers, your supervisors, and then you put it on a resume and you talk about how you have worked your way up from the bottom. So now the way that the job market has been able to change, a lot of that happens behind the scenes. No one really has to see the fumble process. You can pretend as though you've already made it so that you can make it. And that seems to work really well for a lot of people. The problem is that when you're on the internet scrolling through all these profiles, you have a tendency to compare yourself to others. And it makes you wonder, my lifestyle doesn't match the lifestyle of these people that I see. How did I get here? Do I deserve to be here? Lots of comparison. I think that that's why imposter syndrome seems to be something that's new and trendy. In reality, it's something that was studied in the 1970s, but because it's more common now based on the current economy, I think that's why it's all over the place. So imagine, or maybe you don't have to imagine, maybe we're talking about this and it's hitting the nail right on the head for you, but you're working day in and day out, you're working hard, you're working your way up, and you go home every evening and you're feeling as though you're not good enough to be in the same circles that you surround yourself with every day. That's imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome can lead to procrastination, perfectionism, or a combination of the two. Not to mention that the added pressure that a person puts on themselves can lead to depressive symptoms and anxiety. Some ways that this can present itself in your daily life at work is that you might feel more shy or more reluctant to speak up for yourself. You might miss deadlines because you don't want to hand in a body of work until it's completely perfect, even if what you've completed is really, really good. You may struggle to network and move up in your company or with your business because you're afraid that someone will notice that you don't have as much going on as others think you do, or that you might not know as much as you've presented yourself to know. A lot of people who experience imposter syndrome feel as though they're really good at putting on a front professionally, and they are not really able to be themselves in a work setting. So they can also have some difficulty recognizing who their authentic self is because they feel like they're so used to putting on a front just to fit in at work or to get ahead in work. Now that we know what imposter syndrome is, let's talk about what to do about it. When it comes to imposter syndrome, the best defense that you have is your self-talk. Well, Simone, what is self-talk? I am glad you asked. Self-talk is the messages that we send ourselves every day, all throughout the day. For example, if you're telling yourself, everyone here is better than me, they're more educated, more experienced, they can do a better job than I can, then you're probably not going to perform as well on whatever task or project you're working on, and that thing will come true. However, if you tell yourself, I'm just as good as everyone else here, I've got professional experience that puts me in the perfect position to get this work done, and anything I don't know, I can ask questions or I can train myself, then you're going to also make that thing happen. So how you talk to yourself is very important. One thing I can tell you for sure is that whatever seat you've managed to get yourself at the table, you either got there or are staying there because of skill sets that you have, because of your personality, because of your go-getter energy. Rest assured that you're qualified to be there. Otherwise, statistically, you wouldn't be. Even if you got to that position by luck or by chance or by nepotism, you have to figure out how to stay there, and that in itself makes you qualified. If you're watching this week's video and you're saying, wow, I really think that I have imposter syndrome, I see how it's held me back in certain ways and it's making me feel anxious. I noticed that I'm putting off projects till the last minute. As you guys can tell, imposter syndrome can really be a doozy. It can throw you for a loop and make you question yourself on a daily basis. Comment down below what you guys think about imposter syndrome. And in the meantime, this is the finished makeup look. I told you guys, I'm not a professional. This is typically what I do on a regular occasion if I have somewhere to be. So let me know what you think. Products will be tagged below. Thank you for joining for Wellness Wednesdays. I can't wait to see you guys again next week. Take care.